Okay, so now that we've got a lot of text and so forth inside of our OneNote notebook, you might at some point think about maybe looking up information, trying to find pages that have certain kinds of information on there. So I want to show you guys how to do some basic searches, and then I'm going to show you how to work with what they call tags or just search tags. It's a pretty remarkable thing there. So anyway, to do just the basic searching, what you do is you go up into this area right here. Now, one thing to take a look at here is if we click on that little drop down arrow there, we can tell it to kind of refine its search to a certain area. So if we leave it as all notebooks, that means it's going to not only search the one that we currently are looking at right now, but any other ones that you've got open as well. So for instance, let me just go back in here. If I were to open other notebooks, and remember from the beginning videos we had created also a notebook called CST Private, all right? So that's going to be this one here. Really doesn't have much in it, but there it is. So as long as it's open, then it can be searched on, all right? So that's what this would be all about. So by having that on there, it's going to not only search through this notebook, but any of the other ones that you got opened up. If you want to refine it a little bit, then you can say, well, just on whatever the current one that you're looking at right now, just this notebook. All right, so all the tabs and pages of this notebook. You could also say just search through this section, you know, maybe just the alpha section and all the pages, right? Or, so we're just going to leave it as the all notebooks there. All right, let me just kind of get out of there, all right? So now, let's see what we're going to search for. Let's say we want to look for all occurrences of, let's say, the word smart art, or the name, right? So we just go up at the top here, we type in smart art, all right? And before you know it, I mean, it lists out every page in here that has smart art on it. I mean, that's pretty powerful. If I were to say instead, I want, how about this, cover page, then it looks for that phrase, see, and there they all are. And what I can do is I can go ahead and just kind of click onto one of the pages, right, and then it has highlighted all those cover page, or where we have page in there as well, all right. Then when you're done with that one, you can just go ahead and hit the little X here and close it up, and it goes back to where we were. Now, if you remember from the last video, we had set it up so where it would also search through your audio and video files for those names or those words that we just specified there. At this point, it hasn't been long enough for it to do all of its indexing, but just keep in mind that if right now, if we were to go and type in a word or a phrase that happens to be also in, not only maybe in the text areas here, but also within the audio and video files, it'll list out those as well in here. So it's pretty cool. You just can't see it right now, but just use your imaginations. Okay, so enough with the search. Now that's pretty straightforward stuff. Now the next thing I want to get into are the tags or the search tags. And that's what you see here in the Home tab in this area right here. If I click onto the More button there, it shows all of the different tags that we can apply to different text boxes or placeholders, graphics that we have in there, anything that we have on our pages, we can put these little markers on. And the advantage of that is that later on we can then pull up a list that shows where all those markers are at, and thus we can actually find all of the items under a certain tag subject, let's say. So you can go in and you can take any of your paragraphs that you have here and go in there and add or apply one of these tags to there. So let's just say this was an idea that you came up with, right? So you might say, I'm going to apply the idea tag onto that. And then we have, you know, other things here as well. Probably the best thing to do with this is to maybe, in addition to what we already have here, have have additional ones that you put in there. In other words, customize this whole area so we can add in even more of these. All right. So let's do that first. We're going to add a few tags in here, give you the idea of what you have to do, and then we'll go ahead and we'll apply those new tags that we put in as well as some of the ones that already are out there and kind of work it from there. So if we go down to the bottom here where it says customize tags and click onto that, you get this list here. And this is the same list as what you saw over here. Now, if there are ones that you think that you would never use and you just want them out of your way, all you have to do is just kind of click onto them and click on to remove, and off it goes just like that. So that's pretty easy. If you want to come up with additional tags, what you do instead is you'll go over here to new tag. All right, this little window pops up. Let's say there's a lot of notes that you put in here regarding let's say project A, whatever that happens to be. I have no idea what it is, but let's just say it's project A for you, and there's areas that you put information in about that project that might not be just in one area. It might be amongst many different tabs, different pages, and so forth, but they all kind of relate in some way to this project 1. All right, so what we're going to do here for the display name, we're going to call that one and I'm just going to put this in caps too. So project 1, just like that. So that will be the name that you'll see, just like you see out here. And then we'll go in here and we'll pick a symbol. What would you like for the symbol? They don't really give you a lot of pictures. So maybe what we'll do is maybe just go with the maybe the blue star here, okay? Because really, it's in its name as well, all right? So maybe the picture's not that important. Now, if you want to change the font color of this to something other than black, you can just click onto here and pick that color. We're going to leave it black. And then the highlight is what you see over here with the yellow and the green. You can do that as well. I think that just gets a little bit too much. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. You just give it the name. We've got the symbol. We hit OK. And there's project 1. All right. Now I'm going to go back in here again, hit new tag again. All right. And we also have another, project going too. And guess what that one's named? That's project 2. All right. So we'll type in project 2. All right. And on this one, the symbol, let's make that one maybe a green star. All right. And then hit OK. And there we go on that one. All right, we'll do another one. And this one's going to be a little bit more generic or general. This is going to be development. There we go on that one. And that one we can go with, and again, we kind of lack with the pictures really. But I think maybe the light bulb might be good for that one. So we'll click onto that guy there. And then we'll hit OK. Okay, that's all we really need, I think, to kind of explain this. But what I'd also like to do is put all of the ones that I know I'm going to be using towards the top, or you can maybe also rearrange them into different groups or whatever. But what I'll do is I'll take the development one here, because let's say that's one of my more important ones, and I'll just use this up arrow here to move that up to the top. I'll take my project, put that up there. Take my other project, project 1, put that in between. There we go on that one. I think maybe having something to do with contacts. I think that's pretty good to have. All right, and maybe also just an idea in general. I think that'd be good to have up towards the top there. Something that maybe has to do with a website to visit. There's a thought, huh? Got that there. And I mean, you got a lot of different ones in here, but you get the idea with that, I think. So, good stuff. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. That'll get me out of there. And now you'll see all those at the top there. Now, if you want to make this kind of, I guess, more convenient to access, especially if you happen to be maybe on a different tab, and now you want to start applying some of those tags, you got to go back to home here and do it. You can actually point to one of these, do a right click on it, and tell it that you want to add the gallery, which is what we see here, to the quick access toolbar. And you do that, that goes up there, and then when you click up here, then you get a nice long list like that. All right, same as you'd get if you were to click onto here and do the same thing, but I'm just saying it's just another place to access it from. Now, of course, we're going to be doing all of this after the fact, but when you're doing this in real time, you're doing it on your own, you're probably going to apply these tags as you put in each of these paragraphs, or you put in your pictures, graphics, whatever, like that. So for the first one here, I'm going to go and click on to right here, all right? Then I'm going to go up into my area here and say, okay, this has to do with project 1. So I'm just going to click onto that, and you'll see that going there as well, all right? Now, if I go here and say this has to do with project 2, all right, then I get that. The only problem with doing it on the date like we have here is that later on when we look at our list of tags and they're all nicely grouped together, you're going to see a little bit of extra text after each of the tags in the list. And to be able to see this, I think, is more informative than seeing an actual date. So what we can do is we can take the tag off of here. So if you just do a right click on the tag, tell it to remove the tag, it gets rid of it, and then I can just go down to here to the paragraph and then put on there project 2. There we go. Let's also say that not only was this, project 1 or project 2, but this one for project 1, let's say that it also involves kind of like an idea, okay? So in our list here, we have something called important. We have idea in here. So maybe we'll go with the idea, just like that, and we can do two things. So when we look at our list later on, we're going to have this showing up in two different spots on the list, because we're going to have it, first of all, listing out project 1 and all the items for project 1. And then it's also going to have this also when it comes to the idea. See? All right. I'm going to go over to, let's say, page 2 here. I'm going to go to this one right here. We're going to make this an idea. Okay. And I'm going to go to this one over here and make this one something that's important. Okay. It's just an important thing to remember, that type of thing. Again, maybe you would have come up with a lot more very specific type of tags that you want to use, and if that's the case, then it's going to be a little bit easier to figure out what you want to put on each of these. But I would say to you that it's probably the best thing to be able to take anything that you've inputted and put some sort of a tag on it. All right, that way it's going to be a lot easier when you're trying to kind of round up all of the entries that have to do with that particular subject, okay? That's particular tag subject, okay? So I'm going to go over here to number 3. I'll go into this one right here, and we'll go with this is a question that somebody had, or that I had, and I just kind of made a note about it, and when I get an answer, I'll probably kind of modify this area with that answer as well. All right, so I just kind of mark that as a question that I have, because again, later on, I can round up all of my questions, right? And then I'll be ready for maybe a meeting that we're going to have where I can get those questions answered. Could be a lot of different things, right? So we got that one in there. Maybe I'll go over here to now gamma, all right? And I'll go to my gamma 1 here. Had all my wonderful notes from a few videos ago. I'm going to go over to here, click onto that, and I'm going to go back and say this has to do with project 1 again, all right? And it just so happens that this guy over here has to do, I can't get in there, so let me just, that's a little tricky sometimes, but if I maybe get onto here, right on the end here, and tell it that that's going to be project 2, it'll still put it on this paragraph right at the very beginning there. So you don't have to be at the beginning of the paragraph to do this. And then if I go over here to page 2, let's say I'm over here, if I just kind of click on that spot right there, and I click on the project 1, it still makes that paragraph with this little marker here. So the marker is pretty much based on the entire paragraph, all right? All right, so we'll go to this one here, and this one will be having to do with a something critical, whatever that is, all right? Again, if you think you need something more specific, that's when you put your own tag name in there, the icon, then use that instead of just plain old critical, right? All right, we'll go down here to page 3, go to this one right over here, and we're going to tell it that one's going to be an idea that we had, all right? Then we'll go over here to Sigma. I'll click onto here, okay? And this has to do with now, I don't have it in here, but we could pretend like that maybe would be, well, actually, I'll tell you what. Let's make that a we'll say movie to see. How about that one? Oh, that's kind of dumb. Tell you what, we'll right-click that, remove the tag. Let me go back up to the top. Let's just say that this has to do with training, and I don't have that in here yet. So, and it was maybe, again, it was a YouTube video that we found with a company that does some certain kind of training that we need. And so I kind of brought that video in, in the YouTube video, as you saw in the previous videos there. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to go customize tags, hit new tag, all right? I'm going to put in there something like, call it training stuff, all right, whatever, all right? And of course, I'll go find a symbol here. What can I use for a symbol? I don't know, maybe a happy face here. Well, actually, we'll do 2 people that are like they're going to get trained, right? So we'll click on that. Then we'll go ahead and hit OK. And then that's going to be at the top of the list already, so we're good. Hit OK on that. And then while I'm on here, I can just kind of click there and go ahead and tell it that I want this to be training stuff, and there it is. Now, because I had everything selected in there, it gave me all of that all over the place. I really don't need it that many times, so I'm just going to hit undo, all right? Click over here, just click onto the video, all right? Or better yet, how about if we just do right there, okay, on that paragraph, right? And I click on the training stuff, and you just get that on there. Okay, now we'll go over here to Delta. And let's just say that this was some information on our, let's say for the for development, let's say. So, actually for project. So we'll find the project. So this is going to be for project 2, numbers for it, whatever it happens to be. That'll be good. We'll go over here to Lambda, and again, I'll go to here, and I'll put in, let's say, we'll make this development. Now, I just paused the video and I added a few more. I didn't think you guys wanted to sit there and watch paint dry by me sitting there putting all these different tags on there. But I think you got the idea as far as what you do. You put something in there and then you decide if you want to tag it. And like I said before, I think tagging is the way to go to really keep this organized and to really know where you've put stuff. Because I'm going to tell you, you have 5, 10, 15 different section tabs up there, and in each of those tabs you've got literally maybe tens if not hundreds of pages maybe sometimes. I mean, how the heck are you going to remember where anything is at? I mean, as much as as good as you are of keeping things as organized as you can, putting them in a specific tab, specific page, the problem is that sometimes whatever you're entering might also be something for something else as well, a completely different area. So having the tags, it really allows you to keep like an overview organization, like a macro type organization. So it just makes it a lot easier to find stuff. So pretty cool. So without further ado, what happens now when we want to start digging up some of this information? What do we do? Well, first of all, what we're going to do is, and this is in the Home tab, over here we have something called Find Tags. See? Now we click onto that, and this little bar opens up here, panel on the side there. And right now it kind of defaults to tag name. All right. So you can see on here we've got an address, I've got a critical, I got development, I've got homework, and I got some other, I got ideas, important. Here's your project 1, project 2, and so on and so forth. So some other stuff in here that we got as well. But the idea is that it's all right there. Now I say to myself, okay, I need to find all my stuff on that had to do with training stuff, okay, that we called it, right? So there it is, right? So I can go over here, click on the training stuff. There's my first one, and it actually even highlights it, see? Go to my second one here, there's another one, see? And that's also shared with a development tag as well, but it still shows up there, see? Go to my third one here, and there that one is, right? And that's actually on a different group of tabs, right? That was in that area there. So that's pretty cool. And then I can go back up and say, okay, now let's look at some of this other stuff here. Here's my project 1. Okay, what is that? Let's take a look. So there's the first one. That takes me to alpha, takes me to page 1. There it is, right? Here's another project 1. This is on gamma. This is on page 1, and there it is, see? And the same thing with the third one here. Jumps over, in this case, to gamma as well. Second page, and there that one is. So pretty neat. Now that's grouping it by the tag name, okay? Now watch this. I click on that little drop down and I choose section, all right? And it shows me, see, I've got my alpha, gamma, sigma, right? So there's alpha, here's all the items there. There's beta and so forth, see? So I can maybe look for stuff that way, all right? I also can go from section to title, all right? So this would be the page names, right? So there's alpha page 1, alpha page 2, and so on and so forth. So it just goes on and on, see? Pretty wild. Tell you, this is really cool stuff, I think. Also by date, though we pretty much put all of it in almost on the same day. So, but I do have some stuff in there that might be a little bit older. Like here's last week's notes, this week, and so forth. So not bad. And I can go back in there again and I can hit note text, and I think that's pretty much going to be almost the same thing there. So in this case, I've got just, you know, it's all just individually listed on that one. All right. Now notice also that it's searching for, let me just go back to the tag name here. It's also searching for just in this notebook. Now I didn't put anything in any other notebook, but if you had other notebooks open, you know, where you've got access to either one of these, right? You can actually tell it that you want to see in all notebooks, all right? And that would be the ones that you got there. Now, there's nothing that I have in here, okay, from that other one. But if I were to, let's say, jump over, let's say, to the private one, all right, there it is. And I'm just going to put, you know, I'll just put something in there, whatever. And then I'll make it a I'll make this a development tag. Okay, so I'll do development, little light bulb there, right? So now I've done that. Even if I go back to this one here, back to our original notebook. Now I put that in there, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to close this to kind of refresh it, and then go back into Find Tags again. That'll bring it back here. And now you'll see that third one having gone in there. So if I go and click onto here, oh, that's not the one. How about that one there? There it is, see? So there's that one, see? So that's pretty cool, and that's listed because of it showing all notebooks. Now if I went back there and I said just this notebook, all right? I'm already on this notebook. Let me just go back here, go back to the other one, all right? Now if I just say this notebook, let's do that again there. I'll hit refresh down here. See, so now it's not showing that third one there. If I go and change it to all notebooks, hit my refresh, well, it already came up there for some reason. All right, so anyway, so there you have it. Okay, so hopefully this comes in handy. as I always say, for what you're going to be using in business or personal. I think it's just a great set of tools we have here, this whole thing with the tags. I mean, searching is one thing, but being able to refine it even more and kind of group things, you know, have like an overall kind of grouping mechanism where we can, you know, have it transcend being organized just by the tab and the page, you know, by having these tags put on there. But again, I would suggest that you definitely use these tags, because it really will come in handy if you're really wanting to get the most out of, you know, out of your notes, right? All right, well, take care. Appreciate you watching the video.